Today we're going to learn about operating for success, which is chapter 12 of this course, Entrepreneurship. In our today's class, we're going to examine the significance of operations in a business, and also learn how to develop a production distribution chain for your business, manage suppliers and inventories, recognize the value of the facilities, location and design decisions, evaluate products, quality methodology. So before we start learning all I've mentioned, let's learn about operations. Operations are sets of actions that produce goods and services. Goods and services cannot just produce themselves. There are certain activity one has to carry out, actions that one has to carry out that we bring about these goods and services. And there must be operation for a company to be successful. It must follow up on promises to customers, because with operation you'll be able to achieve that. And operations can also be known as the precise steps involved in carrying them out. And this precise step depends on the type of business you're doing and the specific condition the business is. This is why operations are different, because sometimes these businesses, they are setting requirements and the way they carry out their operation based on their location, where they are where they are carried out. Also, apart from that, also the type of business: is it manufacturing, is it services, is it and what kind of goods you are producing. For example, a manufacturing company is one that like a manufacturing company is one that produces tangible products, and it needs operation to produce these products. Like, for example, producing tires, tires that cars are using. This manufacturing company, for example, follows specific, precise operation for producing these tires, and also ensuring that these goods, these tires, they get to the consumers. This will totally be different from someone that is producing cornflakes, for example, or cereal, any of the cereal you know. The methodology for producing this is carrying out this operation, and the way at which he delivers his goods will totally be different from the example of tires I've given. So we have operation distribution chain. Production distribution chain, and production distribution chain can be of three types, where the manufacturer gives to the wholesale, and the wholesale will give to the retailer, and the retailer will give to the consumer. We also have production distribution chain, where the manufacturer just gives to the retailer directly, and we also have where it gives to the it doesn't pass through the retailer, but it deals with the consumers directly. However, whichever production chain that it's adopted, this it should suit the business. It should, the utmost things that these goods or services gets to the consumer. Now we're going to look at how this is a normal production process, like the input, conversion and output. We have the input. Input means all of the materials we need to carry out production, from natural resources, components, natural resources, the components like land, labor, capital, enterprise, information, funds. All these are considered as input. Anything that you can actually use, transform, that can be transformed into finished product or services. Then we have the transformation conversion. This means the process, how these goods are processed. Is it with which machinery, with which equipment? Is it by machinery? Is it by labor? Is it capital intensive? Is it labor intensive? you don't need to kind of use you need to use less machinery, or you use more of machinery and less labor, or more of labor. So this also varies with the type of production one is carrying out. Then the output is the product, the finished goods. Services also, it could be product, it could be services, it could be either, it's just the finished process. So converting input to output, we could say this is what production is all about. It's actually a process. We can It's a three phase, and each phase has its requirement, okay, and each requirement depends on the type of business you're doing, and how you are also how you are doing it, okay, because there are many options and which you have to look into and pick and kind the one that best suits the type of business you are doing. So we have input, we have transformation, conversion, and we have the output. So for we to have output, we must have transformation, and for you to have what you're going to transform, there must be input, there must be materials. Then production distribution varies, which we have the tradition, which I already mentioned. We have the tradition, we have the direct to retail, and the factory direct, which tradition, which most of us are very conversant with, and the one where the manufacturer will supply to the wholesale, and the wholesaler will supply to the retailer, and the retailer to the consumer. And we also have the direct retailer, which means you have to manufacturer to retailer, retailer to consumer. That means the wholesale is totally out of the channel. Then we also have the one where the factory direct, the factory sells directly to the consumer, okay. The wholesaler and the retailer are known as the middlemen, okay. If they are there, they are considered as the middlemen, and if they are not there, it means the manufacturer, it sells directly to the consumer. There is no middleman, okay. So we're going to look at why do we need the supply chain? What is all about the supply chain management? That is the SCM. This is the management of the management of sourcing, how to source, sourcing, procuring, production, logistics, from raw materials to finished product, that it will get to the finished product that will get to the end consumers, and it's and across multiple intermediate steps, okay. So the SCM, it helps to create and maintain efficient material supply, okay, flows between supply points, and it also addresses methods and relation. Then another thing is that with SCM, various partners must work together to use tools and techniques for increased efficiency, and to apply their knowledge in making decisions. So like this, for every stage of this production process, there are decisions that has to be made. The decision of knowing and choosing the type of materials, okay, or decision on choosing the labor facilities, the facility, the machinery equipment, or decision on how the product service should get to the consumer, the end users. So how do we find the suppliers? Like we said, the world is your market, okay. It's your market for your sellers and for suppliers. So raw materials, component parts, sub assemblies, and completed products may be available to you from anywhere. It doesn't mean it. Sometimes companies they open companies in certain areas, but the production is being carried out in another location. So this is okay, as far as you can actually source and get this material for production. Then you may also be growing and packaging your own fruits and vegetables, and have seeds, fertilizer, packaging, and machine equipment suppliers. A supplier that does all of this. It's like one supplier that supplies all of this. So the thing is that suppliers are considered as partners. They are partners to the business, because if they are not there, your materials which are required or needed for your production will not be will not be made available, and you can't get to use. So uh, your success really depends on their capacity to deliver what you need and meeting up with the time, okay, when you need it, and at the price, affordable price that you will be willing to pay at a point in time. So will some places which you can look for suppliers partner include trade shows or conferences. You go to trade shows or conferences, because sometimes we might not even know these people suppliers are available. They are very their proximity, it's not far away from us, and we probably don't know they are there. You can also get supply from trade catalogs or journals, the yellow pages, internet search engines, okay, wholesale supply houses and brokers, newspapers and magazines. Then even competitors, you could approach your competitors, people that are doing same business with you, and you liaise and you try to get information where they get their supplies from, and you can also utilize. There are firms like yours that are outside of your trading areas. You can also reach them, but usually competitors are people that are in the same area with you and you're doing the same thing. So you can also look at firms like yours that are outside of your trading areas. You can also probably reach out to sales representatives and also your customers too. Customers can also give you information, and sometimes your customers can also be your suppliers. They buy the finished product from you, but they are also making the money from supplying you these raw materials for you to they sell to you these raw materials to give them the finished products they need. So we're going to look at managing inventory. Now we've talked about the production channels, operation, the production channel. We've also talked about the distribution channel, and we also looked at supply. Now we're going to look at managing inventory. Managing inventory, it's very important. It's actually it's very vital to marketing success and to cash flow, and there will be an ongoing tension between them if they do not if they are not well managed. So of course for inventory, if it is very high, it means we will also have very high cost and low cash with you when your inventory is high. And it can also be low. Inventory can also be maintained low. uh, but when this happen, your cash are tied up, okay, and although it helps you minimize your inventory, but then your cash will be tied up, and sometimes this could cause dissatisfaction to the customer, because by the time they they need, or they want to purchase, or they want your product, you probably might not be having enough to supply to give to them. So this is why we must try to manage a balanced inventory, that it will be sufficient for the demand, at the same time will not also make you have your cash tied down for a long period. So first of all, you must try to balance service and cost management, because you must look into some cuts for you to achieve to balance your service and cost management. I mean, you should consider factors such as demand, your sales price, your carrying cost, order and setup cost. Then you should also be very aware of your lead times. So when we say lead time means the time period between where you order and you get the goods. So you should also know this, okay. If your lead time is very long, it takes time, you should try as much as possible to kind of order in on time, so that you can get on time, thereby not having a problem with experiencing very low level of inventory that can cause dissatisfaction to your customers, or probably because you probably not be able to meet up with your customers demand. However, in reality, demand projection, lead times, and other variables are often estimated because sometimes you cannot give exact, accurate details about it, okay, or accurate data, okay, analysis about it. So you could just give an estimate, an overall estimate about this, with varying degrees of accuracy because no matter what the estimate is, you should try to have an accurate estimate. We can also have we can also use best available information and to get this estimate, and you could also use the established techniques and tools to make inventory management decision. Sometimes all of these are about when you key in your data, you process. Sometimes you can do this just in a traditional method of trying to analyze and count, visible analysis. You look at what you have and probably the demand, okay, rate of demand, and all of this can give you an estimation, okay. Now, so we are talking about managing inventory. So we're going to look at the visual control. This is inventory management. I just mentioned it. Inventory management method in which an individual assess the stock level and by just visual inspection, and you know if you have low or high. Low to make demand, especially if the lead time is very wide, has wide gap, or it's high for you to kind of relax and you don't need to have a reorder. So all of this with visual control, you can also tell this. This is actually a scientific method of choosing when to order, and it depends on your knowledge of the product selling rate and delivery times. Now we also have what they call the safety stock and reorder point. The safety stock is the amount of inventory or raw materials or work in progress that is kept to guarantee service level, and reorder point is the level at which materials need to be ordered again. So okay, for reorder point, which it's the formula is average demand per unit of lead time times lead time plus safety stock. Okay, you can actually try to calculate for your reorder point and you get this thing. Then we also have what they call economic order quantity, that is the EOQ. This is the amount of inventory to order that will equal the minimum total ordering, and the minimum total ordering and the minimum total ordering economic order, the amount of inventory to order that will equal the minimum total ordering and the holding cost. So like if the company manufacture products and wanted to calculate the most economical size for a production run, it needs to use the same calculation methodology, where the O, that is the O setup cost rather than the other cost. This is the formula. We have the formula here. Let's see. Okay, this is the formula. EOQ squared 2DO all over C. Now moving on, let's look at economic order quality. Look at this. This will explain the reorder cycle. And know this reorder, it's just a cycle. It's low, you reorder. If it's high, you delay a bit and you reorder. So for example, if you look at this, let's see, I think we have a pen here. Okay, good one. Okay, let's use the purple color now. So we have this. If it takes a 4 weeks, let's say this from 4 weeks, okay, so for 4 weeks your reorder point should be this at 2 weeks. You get it? At 2 weeks. So at 2 weeks time you should reorder, because at this place will be your safety. From this place, from 0 to 2 weeks is your safety. So at 2 weeks you should reorder. Then if it's, now let's look at another one like this one. If it's if your inventory cycle is 8 weeks, not 4 weeks, like it's just 4 weeks and not 8 weeks, this is what you should do. At every 2 weeks you should order. But if it is, for example, 8 weeks, that means from year to year. Okay, I'll pick another color now. Okay, let's say this time it's from year to 8, right? Your reorder point should be year. Okay, at the 4th week it should be 4 weeks. You should order. I mean, you should order. Okay. Okay, so from year to year. So if, for example, it's 4 weeks, let me say it's from year to year, your lead time should be year. It means from the point of order to the point where you get it. Because if you are going to reorder, let's say for example you are going to reorder from here, your lead time is here, from here to this place. Okay, so and if it's from here, your lead time is like I said, the lead time is the point at which you've reordered, and to the period of time it takes, the period of time you have to wait from the time you've reordered to the time you are going to get the product. Okay, so this is a reorder cycle, and when you understand your reorder cycle, you know when to reorder. Okay, and you know when to, how long it takes. Okay, and what you sell, because look at it, the quantity. Okay, if you look here, the reorder point here, for example, you probably have sold 60. You see, you probably have sold 60 at this point in 2 weeks. Okay, so you know the quantity you sell at every point in time and what you've ordered for. When you understand your inventory cycle, you'll be able to manage your inventory very well. So moving on, this is for economic order quantity. Like this is the formulas, and this is the meaning. The D represent annual demands in units, and the ordering cost is in dollar, and the carrying cost is also should be in the monetary form, which is in dollar. So if you have details given in this, for example, if the cost of dollars are given in this place, like here, okay, all you need to do is that you can key in your data based on the information given. Usually they give you the information and the data. You'll be able to know from the graph the data you're supposed to use. And if it also give you other quantity and data are given you here, so you just need to key your data here, and you key your data and you divide. Okay, we know our square root, and whatever you get, you divide it up, you get your EOQ. So this graph is just to demonstrate to you there are no data available for you to carry out the calculation. So let's look at enterprise resource planning. This it's a management, or it's actually talks about the resources, the finance, the supply chain, the manufacture and procurement. So this can actually be done by software. These days we can actually use software to do all of this. Is sometimes not we don't have to do it manually the way we used to do years and years. There are softwares designed for all of this. Even this one, you can actually use a software. So for your enterprise resource planning is the integrated management of core business processes such as your human resources, your finance, your supply chain, manufacturing, and your procurement. So we have the ERP. These are all of the factors that makes up your ERP system. The financial management, your supply management, your supply chain management, your manufacturing resource planning, your human resource planning, and customer relationship management. All these are very, very important, and they are very vital for your enterprise resources planning. So let's look at facility location and design. So for your choice of location for business can really determine if the business will be successful or if it's going to fail. because you see the location, it's this location is also a very 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 important part of the the 4 P's of marketing, which is we call place. Okay, place means the place where you do your business. So location is broadly accepted as a crucial factor for retail stores, and the location decision may be a one-time scenario, or it may arise multiple times during the life of a business. Business, it has it's a stage. We've done this. It grows. Okay, it grows, right, where we have the baby stage, the maturity stage when it is growing, then we have the maturity stage, and here with this diminishing return setting. So at every point of the life cycle of your business, the location will keep location deliberation. Okay, will keep it will it keep appearing. You have to really determine where to, especially when you are opening branches, you have to determine which location best suits the business, at what location you need to open the business, and the branches, which branches location is yielding more money, which is not yielding enough income, that needs to be closed down. So for businesses with high transportation costs, a poor lactation choice can translate into prohibitive expensive. What are the consideration in making your location decision? First is your access for customers, the access to suppliers, climate and geography. Okay, places where the climate, you know, uh, uh, climate and geography location does not suit the business, it will definitely not facilitate the business success. The convenience, how convenient it is for your customers, for you to reach out to your customers, and your customers to reach out to you. Cost of facility is like, for example, rent, construction, and the like, labor. Is labor cheap there? That is why we have all these big brands, they open companies in locations where labor is very cheap, like in Bangladesh. Okay, Vietnam. Many of all these big multinational fashion designers companies, they open location in those places because the labor for this carry open up a location there for their production, it's cheap for them. So they just it's cheap for them, facilities is cheap, resources is cheap, so they consider this too. Okay, the cost of all of this is plays a big role in making your location decision. Then demographics too, also this is also very important. Demographic means the group of people. Okay, what they do, are they working, are they high earners, low income, what range gap, I mean range brackets. So all these are things, factors that needs to be considered. Then we have other common consideration like labor pool, proximity to competitors, lifestyle consideration for employees, feasibility, then economic condition and business incentives. So still on the location decision, some consideration and factors that affect location decision. We're going to look at these as critical success factors. Like for example, for national decision, mean you want to locate probably a state. Okay, or the a country. Okay, you want to open your business, you should think of the political risks, government regulations. These are very important, how government regulates businesses there, because there are some countries or nations where some business are not allowed by private investors to run, or probably foreigners to run. They don't issue license to foreigners, they only want their nationals to do that type of business. Or they don't give what do you call it, they don't it's not for private, it's not a type of business that a private it can be invested in privately. I mean, it's not, it's it's only for government. Only the government can actually invest this in type of business. All these are things you have to look into before you actually decide on where to run your business. Their national attitude, are they the type of people that want to patronize your kind of business? Do they really need it? Okay, are they the type of people that we want to actually need this type of business there? Then cultural and economic issues, all this will also be played should also be factors that needs to be considered. Cultural issues, like, for example, someone selling pork products in a national in a national community, in a country where Muslims are dominant. It would probably not be having a very high patronage, okay, or probably government support, as the case may be. So this is different from every this is what happened with every other type of product, okay. So knowing the product first, then you must be sure if the place which you are in, the location decision, you must be sure if there's political interest in it, or there's government support for this type of product, or they have cultural and economic issues with it. Then location of markets, okay, labor talent, attitude of labor pool, productivity, cost, availability of supplies. Is the resources you need to produce this thing, is it available there? Can you actually be able to produce it? Then you have to also look at regional community decision, corporate desires, attractiveness of region, labor availability, cost and attitude towards unions, cost and availability of utilities, environmental regulations, government incentive and physical policies, proximity to raw materials and customers, land construction and cost. All this you must consider. Then for site decision, when you've decided the nation you probably be wanting, nation, state, country you intend to set up this business, then you probably be choosing the region, the community, okay. Then the next is site. Which site will this business be situated? You should look at the site size and cost, area, highway, waterway system, zoning restrictions, proximity of services, suppliers needed, environmental impact issues. All of this should be looked into. Like this environmental impact issues, there are some countries that are very strict with it, and some are yet to embrace it, okay. Then there are other issues like these two, they also are very important. Cultural and economics issue, we should also be prioritized. Then we have also these environmental regulations, okay. What other thing again? All of this, okay. Labor availability, these two, okay, these are key issues I just circled out, okay. So all of these are very important in your location decision. So moving on, we're going to look at factor rating method. This is a method for location decision. It's a criteria that are prioritized and weighted to eliminate subjective consideration, okay. So for the factor rating method, it includes 6 key steps, which is develop a list of criteria success factor and determine the weight of each factor according to its relative importance. Then you have to multiply the factor weight by the factor score for each of factor in each location. First of all, you have to score each proposed location for each factor best if according to the scale, because this you're going to scale them up and see. So this is an example from a country from the USA, between 2 states, Michigan and Delaware, okay. So this is it, and try to score them and you get the total, right? This is the weight, this is the weighted scores, which is this one, okay, and this one, okay. So with this, you'll be able to make your decision. It's called the factor ratings. Okay, so for this example, is actually factor ratings for a hybrid automobile manufacturing plant, probably deliberating on whether this plant should be in Michigan or in Delaware. So moving on, we're going to look at location geography information system. This is another method for location decision. using a tool to capture, store, manipulate, analyze, manage, and present all types of geographical data. Uh, it's like this type of system are usually offered through countries and other government entities, and they capture, store, not do they only do they capture, they also store, manipulate, analyze, manage, and present all types of geographical data. So like for example, the large companies often, sometimes or most times, companies that are very large companies that are very rich, okay, they have good resources, they develop, or they could develop a customized GIS tailored to their particular location requirements. So this is an example, and we move on. Okay, we have center of gravity. See, this is it. Okay, it's an example. We have one. Sorry, I think I overdid this. Okay, so we'll okay, so we have for this and this one too. So let's move on. We also have the clustering method. It's locating, this is when you locate businesses near each other. Okay, this includes using the demographic data, extensive map and topographic information, major transportation routes, healthcare, and the likes. So it's like, after you've identified the factor, it's important to your business. You can now use a GIS system to discover potential profit maximizing location. So we have, let's look at facility design and layout. You know, we've talked about operations. We've talked about after operations, we talked about channel of, we talked about the production process and the channel of distribution, and we've talked about suppliers, okay, inventories, and we talked about location decision and how the factors to consider in locating them. Now, after you've located you've done of all of this, and all of this are intact, the next thing is facility design and layout. How do you design your facility where you intend to carry out your business? Okay, for manufacturing, for example, warehouse and distribution, key consideration include capacity for efficient movement of materials, equipment, and people. Then you should also consider feasibility to adapt to changing business requirements, loading docks and vehicle access for delivery and outbound shipment, and environment conducive to work requirements. All of this should be considered. Then the ability to include requisite controls such as regulation of temperature and humidity and cleaning rooms. This is also very important factor, especially like I had earlier said. It also depends on the type of business you're doing. For people who are doing this kind of frozen food business, I mean, if the environment is not cold enough, the things can go back. Should really consider temperature. Okay, then parking for commercial employee vehicles as well as spaces for visitor. All of this should be made available, because when your when your suppliers and buyers, they come to bring in and take out they bring in goods and take away goods, if there is not a provision of how this for their vehicle, is very very inconveniencing. So the place should be built, and the layout should be very conducive enough for accessibility. Okay, the adequate utility service to the building means there should be water supply, power supply. Then most importantly, okay, security for the employees, the the materials, the what do you call it, the building generally. There should be security and safety. Okay, security and safety, protecting their safety, and everyone should feel safe. I mean, there's no things that will probably endanger them. Then we have, for retail facility, must meet such business requirements as appropriate selling area and for configuration of that space, permission to complete necessary leasehold improvement to be made by landlord, space for offices, storage, restroom, deliveries, and other special needs. You know, retail business and smaller business. Okay, compared to the wholesale. We have the manufacturing, right, and we have the wholesale, we have the retail business. So for the retail, okay, it doesn't really need that space, very big space. When we say retail, there are actually retail businesses that are like wholesale. For a retail that combines both the function of a retailer and a wholesaler, the retailer will need a bigger space, okay, considering all these factors. But if it's just a retail that is strictly by just being a retailer, there's already a wholesaler who the retailer collects, that performs the function of a wholesaler to them. They'll probably not be needing that so much big space, okay. So there should be suitable signage for rules, regulations, parking that is adequate for the anticipated customer volume, and lighting and security, okay. Then we have these are factory layouts for mattress factory. This is an example. See how it's well layout. These are the offices, this is the production, this is the warehouse. So it should be well planned for so that everything we have is space, and there's the workflow. It's easy, very convenient and accessible. At the same time, it's safe and secured for all, both for the materials, the people, and all of these equipments and machineries. Then this is an example, okay, for a retail sales center, okay. This is for furniture store interior. This is for a store that sells furniture. You see, it's like it's like a showroom, well laid out, and enough space for shows. You see, there's different settings here. You see the way you would set it in your living rooms, you have them here. So just imagine you come to this showroom, you see all of this, you get a very good perspective to what you're supposed to do, okay, when you purchase them. So we're going to look at special consideration for home-based business. The world is advancing now, and a lot of people do their businesses from home, okay. You don't need to go and look for build or rent a space for that. Then a lot of these big businesses we have today, they were started from the home garage, like the Apple, for example. If you read this, if you be opportune to read how many of these big conglomerate businesses started in the world, they were started from a very small space, table space or garage. So over time, when they grow, they move out. So however, it's a lot. You can actually do business from, you can actually home-based businesses means you start your business from home, and so you do everything from allocation, okay, allocating work and family time, everything is just in one space zone, okay. So however, it has its advantages and disadvantages. One of the advantages that your overhead at home reduce the overhead associated with leasing or purchasing a separate site. Then technology advances in communication. Also, the advantage is that you can actually do whatever what other businesses are doing that have space or built a space, okay. You could, especially with technology, you could communicate easily. So these are, but however, you must ensure zoning ordinance makes everything is properly zoned, okay. You have your working space and you have your living space after work living, okay. Then deed restriction and civil association rules, all this must be put in place. Then you can operate a home business without a product as long as your neighbors are not disturbed and have no reasons to report you. It is also far better to be fully cognizant of zoning requirement before writing your business plan and investing funds. Then another issue is to consider the allocation of space within your home, okay. Then a best practice is to clearly delineate your workspace area from the family living area. This is very important. Everything cannot be mixed up. For safety and for safety purpose, you must allocate space for everything, for your living, okay, for you and your family, your living, if you have a family, you and your family, and your workspace area. Then we have web-based business too, okay. Then let's look at consideration. Okay, for web-based business, these are business conducted on internet. Sometimes web-based business, people can actually even work remotely from home anywhere. So uh, it could be from home, it could be from anywhere. Remotely, people these days, unlike before, people can actually be working remotely and they don't come to the physical building of the business, or they don't own, rent, or they don't even come leave their home to carry out their job function. So all of this is very possible, but there must be uh, everything must be done appropriately based and according to this requirement. Then let's look at quality. This is all about quality control. Degrees of excellence. This is degree of excellence, conformance to specification or standards. This must be observed. Now we're going to see the different before now. The Japanese, though people would say that the Japanese things were inferior. When they say it's a Japan goods, means it's of low quality. But overnight, they changed this. Okay, and after that era of the Japanese goods being considered as inferior goods, uh, and today people really want the Japanese product because they are one of the best in the world. So you would ask yourself, how did they change this? How did they go about changing this and their product became one of the best in the world? Okay, the thing is that this was done by Dr. W. Edward Demings. Okay, and he argued that business should focus on making quality products instead of maximizing profit, and that profit will follow from that focus. His opinion was that organizations that focus on improving quality will automatically reduce costs, while those that focus on reducing costs will automatically reduce quality and actually increase costs as a result. So you should focus on increasing quality. If we want to look into his opinion, it means that you should focus in producing quality. That when you focus on that, there is very high tendency that you will get more customers and also retain them. But at the same time, if you focus on the cost of production, there's high tendency that you're going to produce fake and inferior goods that are not quality, and those customers you've already gotten, you're going to lose them. So with this with his revolutionary concept, the Japanese actually made a change. They embraced it, while other countries probably they rejected. Okay, and the Japanese product became one of the best in the world. And over time, American entrepreneurs and corporate executives traveled to Japan to study why the Japanese had become so successful producing quality products. And when they did, they found out the idea which they kind of embraced, which was that of the Demings idea, and they brought that idea back home to America, where they finally began to adopt and also do likewise. And today, we would say American products are also one of the best in the world. So this brings us to quality management, and quality assurance is very, very important. Okay, and it's not only for production purpose alone, but for the organization as a whole. Overall, the organization has to adopt it. Okay, so then among this quality control, we also have what they call lean manufacturing. Okay, benchmarking, ISO 900, Six Sigma, total quality management, and the Macon branches award. All of these have their definitions and requirements. The comparison, when we say benchmark, is actually the comparison of a company's performance against that of company in that same industry, or against the best practices, standards, or certification criteria. Okay, so a simple method of benchmarking is to create a list of measures that are important to your customers using the primary market research, or to customers in your industry using secondary research such as trade journal reports, and then to compare outcomes. Okay, this is it. Quality measure for the country diner. Okay, this is an example. You see ratings and how this has been rated and what are the criteria measure of quality. They are looking at customer per labor hour, average customer wait time for cities, satisfactory inspection ratings, number of meals returned to the kitchen, customer satisfaction ratings, amount of food wasted, returns on sales. So we also have what they call the for quality control, we also have what they call the process management, the measurement. This is the measurement, monitoring and optimization of tasks. So these standards are usually certified by independent companies to document that consistent business procedures are being used and that the organization has been independently audited for compliance. So we also have ISO. There are 8 quality management principles for organizational improvement. These ones are the criteria for organizational improvement. The first one, the customer focus, leadership, involvement of people, process approach, system approach to management, continual improvement, factual approach to decision making, mutually beneficial supplier relationship. Then we have the Six Sigma. This one is Six Sigma is a measurement of quality that was originated in the 1980s by Motorola engineers, and it actually involves statistical method. It uses statistical methods to eliminate defects to a failure rate of 3.4% per 3.4 defects per 1 million opportunities, or a 99.999% success rate. This depends on the company, and this is a rigorous process. It's an improvement program that aims to achieve near perfection. Then we also have the two sub methodology employed are DMARC for Six Sigma. The two sub methodology employed for it is the DMARC and DME. Okay, the DMARC is intended to enhance existing production, and DMARC is actually is to support new procedures and products. So this is it. We have the Six Sigma. We have it. So it's actually to define, measure, analyze, improve and control. Then we have total quality management, which is the TQM. It's a methodology of striving for strategic advantage through quality. It's involves brings about continuous improvement. Okay, always identifying and implementing changes throughout an organization to focus on the requirements of internal and external customers. Its success depends on the commitment of all employees to treat one another as customers and to work together to ensure that standards are met at all stages. So we're going to now look at Magor Badris Award. Okay, now this Magor Badris Award, it's is given to businesses and educational and non-profit organizations by the President of the United States and is administered by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And thousands of organizations use this Badris criteria for self-assessment, training and the creation of business process. So it's actually a competitive process established by the United States Congress in 1987 to recognize quality management. So these are the criteria for it. It looks at organization, leadership, strategic planning, customer and market focus and measurement, analysis and knowledge management. All these are the criteria. Then it also looks at human resource focus, process management and business result including customer focus, product and service, financial and market, human resource, organizational effectiveness, governance and social responsibility. So that is all for today's class, and thank you.